Pardon my French, guys and gals, but holy shit, Inkbound is an absolute blast of a game to play. It's charming, the graphics are great, it runs like butter, the combat is not only fun and engaging, but also difficult and rewarding. Flat out, this game is addicting and has that one more run factor where it's hard as hell to pull yourself away from it. Let me show you why. The story in this game is an interesting premise, but not really the main focus at all. Every book ever written is held in the Athenaeum, which also acts as a central hub for the game. The villains of this world are sapping the ink from the books and threatening to destroy them all. As in Needless, your job is to go out into these worlds, stop the villains from achieving their goals, then bring back the ink to the books. Again, it's a neat story, but it really takes a back seat to the combat and gameplay of this title. But if you're someone who enjoys a good story, there's a lot of lore here, and many interesting characters to meet whose voice actors all do a wonderful job of adding charm into this game. At launch 1.0, we're given 8 distinct classes to choose from, and all play extremely different from one another. 4 of these classes are unlocked as soon as you enter the game, and the others are unlocked via quests a few hours into playing. There's really something for everyone here, and you're able to switch a class whenever you want before runs, so they really allow you to experiment and figure out what you like. We have a few melee classes here, rogue types, and mage types. So if you want to crush enemies with a hammer, toss ninja stars to your heart's content, or throw your big magical balls around the battlefield, they have what you're looking for. For the gameplay loop, you choose a world to jump into, all with unique settings, monsters, and bosses, and fight your way through the map. People who are familiar with roguelikes such as Hades will see some similarities here, as you're pretty much able to choose your own adventure. Beat one pack of mobs, then you get to decide if you want to grab some new upgrades to your skills, go heal, or absorb your items to make room for new ones. Additionally, there are different combat levels to choose from as well. The more difficult your choice, the better the rewards. After fighting your way through the levels, you finally get to the boss, and if you beat him, you then pick another map to fight through, the same as the first one you just beat. That said, if you can manage to beat the second one, you have a difficult fight against pretty much a ton of mobs, and if you win, you face off against the final run boss. I'd say a typical run took me about 30-45 minutes, depending on the pace I was taking and how difficult I was finding the fights. Also, as you progress and win runs, you start to unlock new modifiers that make the game even more challenging and keep you wanting to come back for more. Diving more into the roguelike factor, you're constantly earning experience for beating quests, which in turn levels you up. Not only do you acquire better stats which make you stronger, but you unlock additional items to find on each of your runs. What items or vestiges this game decides to grant you on your runs really determine how your build is going to play out, and you want to build as synergistically as possible. For example, one of my favorite ways to build my characters in this game is by building a ton of burn stacks on my enemies. Burn causes them to take damage after their turn, and I love watching them take a ton of it, only to die before I even have to move again. There are many different ways to build your characters each run, and it makes each one interesting and unique. Additionally, as you progress in these runs, you're able to choose a power up to your skills in fun ways, which oftentimes tie in with the items you find. Some runs you can feel extremely OP, the others you might struggle just because the RNG wasn't in your favor. The combat in this game is based upon the turn-based strategy genre, but they were able to put their own unique twist on it, which makes it really stand out. In most turn-based strategy games, you're rather stationary, pick your attack, wait for the enemy to do theirs, rinse and repeat. In this game, you're giving a finite amount of movement each turn, and in using that, you find the best ways to damage your enemy with the amount of ability points you have as well. Additionally, you also have to worry about defensive positioning, and there's a lot of AoE in this game, and if you're not careful with where you're standing when you run out of movement, well, it's really easy to die very quickly. It took me a few hours of playing to really get the system down, and once I did, it became very rewarding, and I was able to feel like a tactical genius when I managed to avoid damage for a turn. Also, if you choose to play multiplayer in this game, each player is able to move freely and attack. This makes playing with others fun. You're never having to wait for them to finish their attacks before you can move. Before we get to my final thoughts on this one, if you could take a quick moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel, you would absolutely make my day. So if you haven't caught on by now, I love this game so much, and I plan on playing this for the foreseeable future. The current price on Steam right now is $30, and with the amount of content and hours this game has to offer, I think that's an absolute steal. Now, if you excuse me, I'm itching for another run, so I'm going to get back over to the game. Thanks for watching, everybody.